Pride Butcher, why should one do business with a local game store giving 25% eBay value for trade with a 50% markup over eBay for sales? That's a loaded question, Ian.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't, is the answer, the obvious answer.
50% markup over eBay?
That seems...
That seems high even for a game shop. Unless there's
That seems a little exaggerated.
Let's talk about a local one that's not Luna Video Games. I won't say the name of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do. Okay, yeah, they do exist.
It happens.
Yeah, they
Few and far between, I would probably argue.
That place is in business. Anyway, yeah, I think this is maybe a loaded question with some possibly wrong statistics. But what I'm going to answer here is this touches on one of the reasons I've always said in modern times you have to be very careful about opening a business. And I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that the person who opened the shop that you're talking about, I'm going to guess probably hasn't been around for more than 2 or 3 years. I'm going to guess they got into the business without enough stock. Put down the bar.
That's it.
You fucking cock. They got into it without enough stock. They didn't plan on overhead, employee cost, or whatever. And they are now finding themselves in the position, which is what I've talked about before, where if you are going to make a profit, you missed your opportunity, which is prior to opening, and also your time period is off. But you missed your time period to get a bunch of stock so that you could start taking in trade-ins and refresh your stock. Mm-hmm. Now what you have to do is you have to go out and buy stuff at a far higher price than you normally would to keep that stock on the shelf. That person needs that stock on the shelf. If they're buying something, it may look like they're giving you 25% of eBay value, but maybe that's not always what they're doing. Maybe they're like, shit, I'm out of this, and this. They're going to a flea market. They're not getting a great deal. Where I'm all ending up with this is, because of the price and because of how hard it is to get stock, you are going to start seeing a lot more shops that are simply charging above eBay because they have to stay open, and that's not a good reason to do it, and that's why it's not always a great idea to get into this business. If you can only make a profit by charging more than what it's worth because you can't get the stock cheap enough, then don't do it.
Just pass on that game.
Or just pass on that. Pass on that business option.
Well, what if you're in it and you don't have a choice? But isn't charging more for a game almost like a failing restaurant charging more for meals?
Yes.
To try to make up that difference.
That's what I'm
but
getting.
But you're driving people away at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You're doing it completely backwards. You didn't plan out your business well enough. You didn't go in with enough stock, and now because push comes to shove and you have to pay more for this stock, you feel like you have the right. You do. You can do whatever you want, but now you have to charge above what it's going for, and hoping that people are going to bite on the convenience aspect.
Yeah,
but they're not. At some point, they're not going to.
I think you can get away with a somewhat of a markup for a common title.
Yes,
you have to admit, even probably Luna on a common title might have gone above eBay.
Oh yeah, a common titles that's popular, that people
like a
really,
Contra or Mario Kart 64 or Smash Brothers.
Yeah, something like that is going to, well, I was trying to think of a better example, but yes, there are games that people expect to see in our store every single time they come in, and I can't keep them in stock. Then yes, it's going to get a $3 or a $5 bump so that I can try to keep these in the store because they're going to cycle through anyways, but I got to.
And that capital can go towards buying more.
Right. And I pay people well for those too.
Okay.
You remember when you traded in you traded in a billion Mario 3s?
Billion? I had like 8. It wasn't a billion.
No, I'm just saying, but like...
Pat's a reseller! Well, I traded them in, technically. I still have $50 in credit. But I think the trade-in value has to be fair for your store. And they're doing disservice. If a store is not going to give you fair trade-in value, let's say 50% credit, they're going to lose. At least they're going to lose my business overall if someone's going to come back. maybe that one-off person that's just dumping their entire collection may not care, but if you're someone who's going to consistently come back, you're going to shop around. You're going to have the time to do that. So it behooves a business to give fair trade-in value.
Well, and it also depends. I am also rereading the wording on this. Do you actually mean trade value or cash value? Because trade value, that's abysmal. Cash value depends on the game. If it's nothing special, 25% of what it might be going for. Cash, it depends. That's not so bad. It's the 50% markup over eBay is the real killer, and that's the sign of a business in trouble that is trying to make up for serious lost money.
Yeah, the most I've ever seen markup, even at a convention, for a high-end game like Panzer Dragoon, I might have seen it marked up 10%. So say if it goes for 600, they're asking 700.
Right.
Or something like that. It's a little more over 10%. But you know what I'm saying? That's the most. I've never seen it 50%. I've never seen a game that should be $500 go for $800.
Right.
Never have seen that personally. But your mileage may vary.